don't know how them a go work it out. Enough things we bear, we cannot share it, oh no. But Jaja has a plan to bring the system down. Hey, it's failing, the system of the world is failing, oh yeah. Them a try hard to save it now. It's failing, and no one has the power to save it. But Jaja a go lead his people now. Hey. Love of money is the root of all evil, oh yeah. I don't know if I sell them birthright and I sell out the people now. Some of them a kill and maim and some a rob all the people, oh yeah. But Jaja not sleep and he might go take them out. Hey, it's failing, the system of the world is failing, oh yeah. Them a try hard to save it now. It's failing, no one has the power to save it, oh no. But Jaja a go lead his people now.
A new season has begun, and while transformation is inevitable for many, your life will remain the same if this is the way you want it to be. However, you can change your life with a better plan from Lifeline Financial Programs. Begin fortnightly cash installments with any amount, then watch your finances multiply into thousands of dollars as you create a brand new future. Life is not a dream. You only get what you put in. We know you cannot do it alone. And this is why Lifeline Financial Programs created the best financial plans to help you transform your life. Guaranteed. Call us now at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Good evening, and welcome to another presentation of the Raw Truth. And as usual, it's a Monday evening, and every Monday evening we come to you with another episode of the Raw Truth. I do hope you have been having or let me say, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And now that the new week has begun, I'm hoping that you have purpose in your life, because life without purpose is absolutely meaningless. Before we get too far, of course, whenever we come to you, of course, we begin with the quote from the great law of peace. And to the streams of water, to the pools and the lakes, to the maize and the fruits, to the medical herbs and the trees, to the forest trees for their usefulness, and to the animals that serve as food and to give their pelts for clothing, to the great winds and the lesser winds, to the thunders, to the sun, the mighty warrior, to the moon, to the messengers of the great creator who reveals his wishes to the who reveals his wishes, and to the great creator who dwells in the heavens above, who gives all things useful to men, and who is the source and the ruler of health and life. To the great creator and for all things we give thanks. It is healthy to be thankful, regardless of what state we find ourselves. It could be worse. So it's good to be thankful. The world is now heading into a very strange place. And of course, I need to just touch on that before we move into bringing on our guests, because there's quite a lot happening here in our world. And none of this should be taken for a joke. Very serious place and time, or I should say very serious place in time, that we have found ourselves as men and women of the land. Not a joke at all. And when the day is over, the question is, what will we do as we find ourselves in drastically changing times? There is always an answer for any question we can ask. The universe has created for us a way of escape. The great creator has provided always a way of escape for his people. Who are his people? That's another matter. Let me take a short break, and when we come back, we get right into News Buzz in a minute. Now, on News Buzz this evening, I'm going to take a break to have a serious word with our people wherever we are, because this has become a very, very serious matter as we watch things happening before us, but somehow most of us are not taking anything seriously. I must caution us that as the world turns, as the world changes, as things spin away from most of us, do not sit and pretend that all is well. Nothing that we have known is going to remain the way we have known it. I hope I made that clear. And regardless of what you think or feel, some of us have a tendency to sit and pretend like all is going to go back to normal. And in our mind, we're listening to people who don't even have a clue of what they're talking about, that things are going to go back to normal. Nothing is going to go back to normal. We are now moving into Agenda 2030. And by next year, by the year 2023, we're going to begin to see a hell of a lot of things changing before our faces. And it is going to blow your mind literally to smithereens. I'm telling you, many of the things that we will begin to see were not seen since the creation of this world. Neither will there be anything after like it. Do not sit and pretend it's not happening. Make preparation, especially, and I'm going to be very specific with one or two areas here. Food will become short. I'm saying this again. Food will become short. Share this with your friends if you're new here, because this is going to be a very interesting discussion, and especially for those of us within the BVI, especially. Food is going to become short. What do? Begin to store food, non-perishable food, tinned foods, dried foods. Store food, because food is and will become short. There are many people right now who are having a problem. You walk into many of the main supermarkets in the USA and Canada and other parts in the world. The shelves are empty, literally. And it's just a matter of weeks before we run out of food. Take this seriously. Tinned foods, beans, seeds, rice, non-perishable foods, dried foods, yes, cured foods, store them. Do not allow yourself to be caught off grid without food. Water. The water you're currently having is coming from some sources you would never want to know. And you're talking about what they call it, filtered water. Water is coming from some very questionable sources, and filtration doesn't necessarily make the water wholesome. For those of you who are exposed to other sources of water containing, my grandmother normally have a tank outside, and the tank normally would be one which catches the water from the roof. Whether you want to build a tank, whether you want to get drums, barrels, whatever you want to get to make sure you have water, make sure that you store water. Store your water in a way that is going to make sense to you, that when you cannot get water, you know exactly where your supply is. I keep saying this, but I'm sure most of us are not taking it seriously. Food and water, share this, my beloved friends. Don't get this information alone. Share it with everybody you know. You hear it on the Raw Truth. Don't take this lightly, because we are going to have a very, very serious time in the short future. Don't feel comfortable. Get up off your rear and move. Do something to save yourselves. I'm only speaking with my brothers and sisters this way because I love you and I want you to save yourselves. Nothing you know is going to remain the same. This is a news buzz. I'm sharing with you what I'm seeing across the world, and what I'm seeing ain't looking good. If you don't take steps now to protect yourselves, you will have serious trouble in the short, near future. Food, non-perishable foods, grains, rice, wheat, peas, anything you can find that is non-perishable, store it. You will need it soon. For those of you in the big cities, and you love the big cities, you better listen carefully. Take serious steps to store food and water. If you can move away from the big cities, move. It is going to get serious. Share this live with everyone. The big cities is not going to be the place you want to be when this crap starts. You won't want to be in these places. Not the places you want to be. Listen, my brothers and sisters, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just sharing the raw truth. For those of you who know what it is to live in the urban, is it urban, rural areas, you start preparing yourselves for this, because when the day is over, it will be your lifesaver. Don't take it lightly. Don't take it lightly. Food and water, critical for life. If you have no food and no water, and for those of you who are talking about the system and you don't want to be a part of the system, well, I'm not sure how you're going to escape it if you don't make preparations. And when I say preparations, massive preparation. Because according to our oligarch friend, it is going to get to the place where you will be forced to become a part of the system. Because when you're hungry, you will sell your very children, sell your wife for money to buy food. Many people are going to do it. This is not a joke. When a man is hungry, he's hungry. That's where we're going. Right now, there is a lot happening in. We're talking about the Grand Rising to Etta Pemberton, Marcia, Michelle, and all my friends who are coming on. Thank you so much for joining. The oligarchs are having a serious meeting right now, and when the day is done, the decision will be made whether the United Nations, well, not the United Nations, the WHO will be given ultimate powers to manage your medical life. Pandemics, some people call it pandemic, whatever you call it. There's a move to centralize health, centralize food, centralize everything you need. But all that comes at a cost. You'll have to prepare yourselves to pay the price for these things if you need to have them. Our world is not as you knew it, my brothers and sisters. We must make the necessary preparations to facilitate. All right? I think this is the word I need to share with you now. If you have tires, old tire, you can find old tire. I keep saying this, it might sound inconspicuous to some people or insignificant even. But if you have old tire, you can put some earth in it, put it at the back of your house. Put some earth in it and plant some seeds. You better start doing it because a lot of people are going to get hungry fast. I keep saying these things, and my gosh, I have to be careful when I speak, because when I look at what is happening, and many times when I say things like these, it happened exactly as I say. This was prophesied. It's coming. Nothing new. Plant seeds, plant food, plant. Don't sit around and wait on the supermarket. Supermarket is filled with chemicals now, and all the chemicals, everybody taking chemicals, everybody will soon be dead. Chemicals will soon be killing most all everybody. It's not a joke. Enough chemicals in the world. And the chemicals were not designed for rats and dogs and cows and pigs. We're living in a chemicalized world. And if your health is worth anything, and if you want to stay away from the doctor, which many of us, very shortly, I hate to speak like this, but it has to be understood that nothing we know is remaining the same. And of course, our lives will depend on what preparations we make now to protect ourselves. If you know all the conventional herbal remedies, prepare them. Prepare them. Share this with every friend. Share this with all your friends. Prepare them. Those that can be stored, store them. Whatever you can find that you can store, store. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to take a break from this for now. Next week we come back. We continue to keep you updated across the world, because when the day is done, many of us are watching what is happening and we're sleeping like hell. We're too comfortable with the little blankie and the TV and the little bedwin and the little food we have now. And that is life. Earning a little money now, and that is good. May God help us when utter claps strike and we're not prepared for it. The world is not going to be the same, my people. Wake the hell up. Make preparations now. Peace. Tonight is going to be a very interesting, we have a very interesting presentation on file for you. And it's quite interesting that we keep harping on what is happening in the BVI in recent times. And I think most of us have been a little lost in relation to what is happening. And we must get to the place where we not only take a serious look at what is happening, but we brace ourselves for the reality, and especially for those in the BVI is a very small place, and perhaps insignificant to many, but it is a very significant place in relation to what is happening across the world. Jamaica, the Central Americas in general, and now tonight we'll be looking at what is happening in the BVI. Not a joke. And I think the more we are aware of our situation, the better it will be for us in relation to how we embrace what is happening across the world. And when the day is done, nothing here should be taken for granted. I think we have been hoping for the best. You can't hope now. People need to get up and put things in place to ensure that they have the best, that they make the best decisions, that they do the best thing. You look at elections. I see St. Kitts preparing for election. I'm not sure if it is understood at the level of the electorate or the voting populace exactly what an election is. Right now, an election is useless. Going to vote right now for anybody is useless. What must happen is that people get up off their rear end and do things that are going to benefit them, not depend on a politician to fix their woes. Because the politicians are useless. They can't help you. And when I speak like this, my friends have a problem with it sometimes because, man, can you come across too tough? But the time has come for us to wake the hell up when the day is done. Politicians cannot save none of us. Politicians can't even save themselves. I was speaking with a very good friend of mine this evening, an amazing woman. And she's saying, like everybody else, she's on a salary like everybody else. She has to be, and I'm talking about a politician, a genuine one, who only wants to help people. And I'm going to get her on the program one of these evenings to have a serious talk with us about what has been happening here in the BVI. That you can understand that not all politicians are criminals or cowardly people, but you have some brave people, especially women, who are seriously inclined to helping our people. They have it tough like everybody else. They're earning a salary, and people, every day people begging them money, and everybody want help. Most of what we're going to be doing now has to come from the private community, because government is in shambles. It doesn't matter where you put it. Nothing is unique about any place in the world, and the BVI is no better than any place else. As a matter of fact, it finds itself in a worse situation right now. The very worst situation. Yes, it is a bad thing when we have all these resources, but we find ourselves at a place where we can't even spend our own money. Your own money, but you can't spend it. Your own money, but you cannot spend it. This little territory has made itself an absolute example of bravery and progress over the past 75 years. But we are now in a position where, with all the money we have, everybody are looked at as criminals. You can't even spend your own money. Yes, we know we have some bad apples in the bunch. Minus those. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. But when hardworking people have worked hard to create a setting where you have your own money and you can spend it, it is serious. We have our guest in house, and Brother Gadites has been a very a good friend of mine for years. I've known him for many years, and we continue to discuss some very serious issues in relation to what has been happening across the world, and especially here in the BVI. Tonight, we'll be focusing on what is happening in the BVI. I read a very interesting article today, and I think it is something we need to dissect. I'm going to be stripping it apart tonight so we can look at exactly where we are with not only the new unity government, but also the governor being a British subject, now managing the affairs of the BVI by virtue of some sordid mistakes that some of us, that some locals have made over the years. And it's very unfortunate that we have to find ourselves, even though um, the Constitution has not been um, in my words, scrapped. But when the day is done, it's very interesting that we now find ourselves at a place where we, like what Obama said to a group of people who cheered like hell. I was so insulted by it. Obama said, we are too simple-minded a people, and we cannot manage our own affairs. When I heard him said it, I was rather offended. But when you look at the reality we face, the man is 100% right. Are we capable of managing our own affairs? Obama said we are incapable. And as such, we need someone to manage it for us. Is that the case? Are we to be proven, is he to be proven right in this matter? That's something to think about. Let me take a very short break, and when we come back, we're gonna bring in our friend Brother Gadites, and when we come back, we're gonna begin the discussion. Share this with your friends. If you're new here, please subscribe, like the page, and share with everyone, because this is gonna be a very, very interesting discussion. We'll come back in a minute. If you're just joining us, let me welcome you to the Raw Truth. For all our friends on Fresh Radio Vibes. And I'm going to ask my brother Gadites to turn down his sound here a little bit, because we're actually hearing you coming through. Yes? Turn your right down, so at least I won't be able to hear you here, because I'm getting a feedback from that. My good brother Gadites is here, and of course he's someone who I respect. I've had quite a bit of sharing space with this gentleman, and tonight, as an analyst of what has been happening across the world, and especially in the BVI, he was living here. He knows the place left, right, and center. He knows exactly what is happening here. I thought there would be no better person to open this discussion with than to have him here on the platform with us to share this evening. Brother Gadites, good evening.
Grand Rising, Kenny. Grand Rising to your listeners all over the world, and give thanks for you entertaining me tonight on the PSI Raw.
You are pretty low. I'm not hearing you. Is it that you have to turn your sound up to hear yourself?
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, man. The more you can turn you up, it's good.
Yes.
But the background sound, if you could kill that, it would be good.
Yes, I haven't got no background sound right now.
Wonderful, because I know he does Fresh Radio Vibes, very interesting. He broadcasts every week, and of course he continues to do some great things, which of course I'll give him the chance to talk about that a little later. What are going in your neck of the woods, boss? Talk to us.
Great things, great things, Kenny. In this what you call it, time of distraction. Now is when leaders are born. Now is when visions are put forward, and it's a rebirth for our people. We've prayed for liberation, and it is taking place in a form where a lot of us wasn't expecting it. But such is the work of the Father, the Creator, to liberate us as a people. We're seeing the reset, as what the corporation would like to call it, but we as a people are doing a bigger reset. We're learning to love each other more, respect each other more, and put people before materialistic gains. And I think that's a plus for us. I'm not sad at this time, Kenny. No sadness.
I tell you what, my brother. Only people who are prepared for what is coming will be able to relate to it. And as I mentioned earlier, the changes are going to be absolutely quite significant in a way that I don't think many of us are even prepared for the level of or the degree of change that is coming on. And only those who have prepared will survive. It becomes a critical matter. And I'm sure some of us have not even been able to relate to the magnitude of the change, the degree of the deprivation which is going to happen as a result of this change. And I was listening to one of the directors of the health, not the WHO, the United Nations. And he said ever since he took office, his aim was to reduce the world population by 50%. And now he's at a place where he's actually realizing that goal to reduce the world population by 50%. When I heard the man said it, my blood actually ran cold, because now it is the business of killing people, period. However you want to interpret that, it simply means that 50% of approximately 8 billion people must die. That reality kind of boggled my mind a little bit. But when you get to the place where you understand what it means to reduce the world population by 50%, it will help some of us to pull your socks or your pants or whatever else you have on up and figure out exactly where we go with this. My brother, now we're looking at the BVI, a little matchbox in the face of all this. Assess what you've been seeing around the BVI for me. Take a minute, assess it.
Thank you so much for giving me this platform to talk about the BVI in particular, because that is a place that I call home for 17 years.
Turn up your volume a little.
That is a place I call home for 17 years, and I still call it home. What has happened in the BVI is pure carelessness. And I say this without apology to these people who was selected by a club affiliation and elected by the people to handle their business. It's a shame that we warned the British Virgin Islands, several people who cherish and love that place and saw the glory that the British Virgin Islands have for us as maroon people. And we didn't take it lightly. But there was some people in the British Virgin Islands, and there are still some people in the British Virgin Islands who are money hungry. They do not respect people. And I remember when I saw this coming from the Turks and Caicos operation that took place. And we had conversation on the radio. We talked to the governor who came over. And, you know, he was very, very cunning. And I saw where the leaders in the British Virgin Islands, because they figure more or less money is power, they friend these so-called elites, the likes of the governor, you know, and several people, Mr. Johnson, I'll not be, the Richard Branson, all these people. They put them on pedestal. And I try to warn these leaders that these people have sarcastic love for us. They will say, "Hi, how you doing?" And at the back of the room, they're planning our demise. But what happened is our brothers in the British Virgin Islands was taught to don't trust their very own people from the Atlantis Island, aka the Caribbean. And that was a systematic plan that was instigated because they know that once they can take away the defense and unity of our people, then they would be isolated. And I want to make this straight across the board to the overseas territories, Cayman Islands, Anguilla, and all these places that has been oppressing our people on behalf of the empire. Now, the British Virgin Islands has been very prosperous, but the local politicians and the people who call that place home, who reached there before, the likes of myself and Kenny, who has something called belongership, not even citizenship, they have created a barrier for that place in the sense where they treat their brothers and sisters worse than the oppressors. And I believe that is why some of them, I'm reading the article right now where the likes of Bishop Klein is saying no direct rule. If you have such a good track record of treating people good, why would you be afraid of somebody ruling you? Because you're supposed to have good example. But I think what is scaring our brothers and sisters, especially the Elton Colwood and the Wendell Gaskin and all of these bourgeoisies who have isolated the British Virgin Islands because of their own personal endeavor and then claim that they love the BVI more than other people, which is utter rubbish. These people know that the British have been watching how they treat their fellow Caribbean brothers and sisters, and they're going to use the said measuring stick now to beat them. And we've been saying to them that be careful how you treat your brothers and sisters, because we are your line of defense. Now, why the British is back and taking over is because they sucks at governance. And the audacity of the governor right there going to say that he wants to show good governance, that is buffoonery, that is utter rubbish, that is hogwash. And the British know that, because nowhere on planet Earth does the British have a good governing track record. But because the British Virgin Islands have bent over so much to accommodate the British, now the British think that it is their God-given right to mess these people up.
Can I ask you something, sir?
Yes.
Because when the day is over, I've been watching what is happening on social media very carefully and on Virgin Island news. There's an article put out by Mr. Fret. He's the director of BNF Medical. When I saw the article, to hear a local man speak, and I'm not going to quote it for you. I want my friends to go to Virgin Islands News Online and look for that article that is titled, whatever it was titled, but written by Fret. Is it Alfred Fret or whatever his first name is? Yes? Alred Fret. Yes? Pull up the article and read it for yourself, exactly what his thoughts are about his local people. I was rather taken aback when I saw it, because I said, my God, if a local man is talking this way about his own people, then it speaks very highly of the fact that we have missed it someplace. And now we are being chastised by our own people. I find that very, very serious. Here you are, as one who have lived here, actually sharing the same sentiment. And of course, we never really discussed it. It's very interesting. Now, my point is this, and I'm going to bring to the fore this document, because I think it becomes a very interesting matter. And I'm now talking about the matter of the proposal made by our own people in relation to, of course, obviously, as Premier, the now Premier Wheatley said, that the the they're under the gun. I'm sure he understands exactly what the hell he's talking about when he said they're under the gun. When a man hold a gun to your head, then you got to do what he says. I guess you fear for life, right? So the fact that they are now under the gun, as he said, means that whatever terms Britain wants to execute, the new formed unity government will have to play its part to ensure that these things are put in place. Take the blame for it or not. They don't have a choice but to work with Britain if things are going to run the way they would assume it would. And my position is a little interesting because, yes, I know that, yes, some of the things which needs to be done in terms of adjustments and systemic rebuilding and change needs to happen. I think that it has been sitting there forever and nothing has been done about it. And yes, it needs to be changed. Yes. If you speak to any local right now, many of them, well-thinking locals, will tell you, yes, they need the change. So whatever is proposed becomes necessary. However, there are some questions that I would like to look at in relation to these changes. And it came out today in an article as presented by the Virgin Islands News Online. And Gadites, I want us to take our time and go through this. Maybe we could. I'm going to ask my friends to share in the chat. Share your thoughts in the chat so we can get your feedback on this as we move through it. But this has to do with an article I saw in the Virgin Islands News Online today, which says, as published by Virgin Islands News, sources within the team Unity Government, headed by Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Wheatley, told Virgin Islands News Center that the draft proposal being discussed with the United Kingdom and Governor John R. Rankin will see the imposition of direct rule without, I want you to take a note of this, without suspending the Constitution. Now, when I saw that, I was not surprised because Britain doesn't have to suspend the Constitution to have direct rule. They don't need to do anything because when the day is done, if we say that the territory belongs to Britain and if we call ourselves a dependent territory, which gives Britain absolute right of management over a dependent territory, then what are we going to be telling anyone? And that is what this territory has been. A dependent territory. And when the day is over, my brother, it continues to be that. And we continue to experience under Britain the hands of a mother who is addressing the needs of a dependent child. It's as simple as that. Because the territory has kept it that way for the past 75 years. And who do we blame now? If Britain decides, hey, we want to have direct rule. In other words, we have given you a certain level of self-determination, but we're going to take that back because you haven't been behaving well. Our local people have been having a serious problem with that, Gadites. And while many of us is of the opinion that we don't want direct rule, we have to be cognizant of the fact that the territory is still a dependent territory. And by virtue of the fact that we have given Britain that position as super mother or super daddy, they're going to do what they have to do. Now, when you look at this document, Gadites, where do we take it? Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead now.
There's a solution to all of this that is taking place. And I've said it to our brothers and sisters in the BVI that if you want to have the club behind right where the dead house behind Miss Davis funeral parlor, the club members can have that resident, but the territory does not belong to the British. The British has not paid, compensate our people for the atrocity that the empire have done. And the bossy slave, as what I call them, who wants to be in the hot parties and over by the Nicker Island, They are the one who have sold out the territory. They have sold out the territory, and I'm going to take this time out to the likes of Dr. Pickering and all of these politicians. They need to surrender to the people and go and face the Queen, because they have broken the register. They were all found guilty by the Commission of Inquiry, so they should have resigned immediately to take the country out of this danger. But because of this foolish pride that they have a foolish pride, and they all have to come to the understanding that the British is not their friend. The Queen is not their mother. You are an adopted child that is being abused. Everybody see the abused. But because over the years you have used the abuse as a boastful manner against your very own people, everybody just drop their hand and say, Lord, they love getting abused. Let them get the abuse. It hurts my heart to see and hear people who have contributed to the losing of that beautiful paradise that our ancestors have fought and bled and died for, still coming on public platform, pretending as if they weren't part of the problem. Sam Henry, a lot of these people, they turn a blind eye when Goddard said that victimization was rampant, when Goddard said that conflict of interest is rampant. Everybody said, you ain't from here, shut your mouth. But when the Commission of Inquiry comes now, everybody wants to pretend like, oh, I didn't know. Everybody knows that when these brothers and sisters went into government, it was not for the territory. It was to show off on one another, to say, see there, I have the power now. H. Lavity Stout says, where there is no vision, our people will perish. I'm urging everyone right now who is listening right now, who knowing of themselves, from the cruise ship pier contract to the hospital to the bridge to the multi-million-dollar consultant fee that they've been throwing away. You know you're a part of these atrocity. Go and surrender yourself, because when our people finally realize and come to the realization that the British have gone into our house and making decisions for our people, not even your relatives are going to be safe.
Let me ask you this, sir, because when the day is over, some folks listening to you might feel Gadites have axe to grind in this country or in this territory. You still have people thinking like that. And when the day is over, we fail to wake up to the fact. It is. I need to say it at this point. We fail to wake up to the fact that what you are actually saying is true. I try to be as genuine as I can in my comments, but I realize that genuineness in being conscientious it's not going to save some of us, because we're screwed in the head. It's very clear. We're not thinking clearly. We're not seeing clearly. The bias against people like Gadites, against people who are immigrants, continue to destroy the very fabric of our thoughts to a place that we can't even think straight. It's a bias. And when we speak to help some of us to grow beyond where we are and the bias we have been taught, it's like racism among white people. It's been taught among our people. Bias is taught in the BVI to our people. And the Caribbean man who has the capacity to help this territory to lift itself out of the quagmire we're in have always been abused. They never see the Caribbean man as being important. And here we are now discussing this matter in a way that if a wise BVI lander listening to us tonight will say, them people really talking the truth. And I'm sure we have some wise people in this territory. I have a lot of wise friends in the territory, and they're absolutely amazing people. But we still have some bughead people who ain't thinking. Let's compensate for that. We are not here to have a quarrel with boggled people. We're talking with wise people who are able to rationalize and think for themselves exactly where we are. This is why we're having this discussion. Because I think the time has come for us to have the discussion. We can't be fools about it anymore. Everywhere in the world you go, you have boggled people. It's a natural fact. But we have wise people who are everywhere, and we need to have this discussion. Now, I am going to open this document. Let me open this document. And from what I've been seeing, my beloved brother, I'm having a serious problem with the fact that the new government, the newly formed coalition government, is at a very critical stage in its history. And by virtue of their position, the BVI is also at an absolutely critically important stage in its history. I do not take any of this for granted because I know the BVI, by virtue of the decisions that these young people in government are making. I want you to note every word I say carefully tonight. If you never heard me speak like this, take note. The decisions that are going to be made by these young people in government will affect this generation for a lifetime. Remember, I said it to you. Everybody normally say that Shawande, they call him Shawande. I call him the Honorable Premier because that he has aspired to that position, and I'm sure he's there now. The decisions he'll be making, and I'm hoping that he's not single-handedly making decisions on behalf of the people. It is one of the stupidest, crappy deals I could ever see in any place where one man is taking on himself to make decisions for a nation. How in hell can any one man do such thing? I hope that is not what he's doing. We are yet to see him come to the people with his plan. What was the plan you submitted? I think the first thing he should have done was to come to the people and say, this is my plan. This is what I'm proposing to Britain to do for us. Do you think it's a good idea? And I'm sure there are absolutely, what I mentioned earlier, wise people who will be able to peruse his plan, check it out, look at what he has there and say, okay, fine, this is good, but we probably need to adjust this area. Or that is good, but we need to tweak it here. I'm sure he would have gotten a better plan if he had put it before the people. But no! Again, he has taken the position of some of these ratoon politicians who have destroyed this territory and other places across the Central Americas by virtue of operating on behalf of the people. Single-handedly, on their own, without consultation. Now, when can I talk tonight? Some of you might not like me. I couldn't care a rat's but what you think. Because when the day is done, what I'm saying is real. We have to get past this place where governance is about I am the premier, I am the prime minister, I am the government official, so I am going to do what I need to do for them. Hell no! How are you going to know what the people need if you don't go to them and find out what they need? That is what made the great Lavity Stout a great politician, a great leader. He sat on the side of the road with his people, found out what their needs were, and took that to the House of Assembly. Is that going to work today? Yes, if there are systems in place to make it work. But no, he is yet to come to the people about his plan after it was submitted. Now watch. Key points coming out of the unity government's proposal. Number one, nothing in the proposal has been discussed with the public. And this is coming out of the article as seen on the Virgin Islands News Online today, as was posted there. And I'm technically quoting or paraphrasing that article. I thought it was absolutely an amazing presentation. And I think it is something that we need to examine in detail. Nothing in the proposal has been discussed with the public. However, Premier Wheatley recently promised public meetings starting as of June 20th. The horse has gone through the gate. In keeping with the Wheatley administration's proposal, there will be mandatory previews by the governor of the contracts worth any contract worth $25,000 or more, while the government which the government wished to enter into before a contractual commitment is made. With this new proposal, it is unclear the role of the public tender process and the Financial Management Act, which governs public sector contracts. Now, Gadites, as we rip this apart going forward, is this a good or a bad thing? Because when the day is over, people cuss and blame people for all kinds of things they have no business getting cuss and blame for. Let us dissect this. Is it a good thing what is happening here? Is this about preventing fraud, preventing mismanagement of funds? What are you seeing? Talk with us.
First and foremost, Natalia Wheatley, who has been given the premiership by the governor, who I see as an oppressor. Natalia should have never ever accepted that. He should have tell the governor, say, right now we're going to dissolve this assembly and we're going to run an election. Because what is taking place is that we all know that a coup d'etat has happened. The British Virgin Islands elite won't admit this, but a coup was done. An entrapment was done for the premier, who is incarcerated right now. And they know that Natalia is not ready for governance.
Before you move forward, if you read the affidavit, it circulated worldwide, I'm sure you must have seen it. And the terms of the affidavit, because many people talk about the entrapment of the premier and all of that. While there was a sting operation, and whatever you call that, it was a sting operation. And yes, the premier was put in a position to prove himself. And yes, he made his decisions. And yes, he ended up in the USA. And yes, he was arrested. Now, when the day is done, however one wants to look at this, each has to be responsible for his own action. I take that position because when the day is done, however it happened from the beginning, one would have said, okay, boss, you're presented with this opportunity. Do you accept it or do you not accept it? See? So this now becomes a matter that one would have to take full responsibility for. Now, however you call that, that's one matter. But now you look at what is happening with the new premier in relation to his assuming responsibility thereafter. And the current move, whatever that is, or which has caused or created this situation, our brother Natalio is now put in a very hot seat to do what he has to do in the best interest of our people. Now, I'm trying to reason this out carefully so we can have a clear understanding as to where we are. While we may not necessarily agree with some of the things which have happened, we have to deal with the facts as they now surface and as they are now administered and as we are now pulled together as a people, and the effect and the result of all of these actions will have to come together, whether it is going to liberate us as a people, whether we are going to restructure ourselves as a people, whether we are going to find a way forward as Britain tries to do what it has to do to reshape whatever has to be reshaped. That is a whole nother discussion, but this is where we are. And yes, I know your position is probably very strong in relation to the whole British thing and all of that. I know where you are. However, let's reason it out from a practical point of view. This is the document. This is what it is in relation to restructuring this government. Brother Natalio is saying to the governor, this is my proposal, that you do X, Y, Z. And we're going to go through that here because it's a very, very interesting document as to what was proposed by Brother Natalio Wheatley. And of course, many locals might have a serious problem with it. And I'm very sorry that this was not discussed with the people before it was submitted. Of course, you would have probably had varying responses in relation to some of these matters because they go against the grains in relation to some of the things which are normal within the territory. But in my mind, I think he is thinking kind of, what should I say? He's looking at a position which is going to not just correct some of the ills as they were for transparency, but trying to set the framework in place that they don't make the same mistakes again. I think that is what he's thinking. Again, my question to you, Brother Gadites, is do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing? Talk with us.
It's never a good thing. It's never a good thing to have dictatorship. No matter how you try to pretty it up, Kenny. This is dictatorship in 2022. I have children in the British Virgin Islands and I have loved ones. What the British are doing right now is making an example out of the British Virgin Islands to intimidate everyone else. The governor sits on his asset while he govern our people as if we're cattle and slave. Listen, in keeping with the weekly administration proposal, there will be a mandatory preview by the governor of any contract. This is like the Anglican Church having in an overseer sit down inside here. I tell the pastor say him not to preach. Where in I Kenny, I promise you this morning I would not get upset. But this hogwash,
don't get upset. Don't get upset.
This hogwash that our Caucasian nation is doing to our maroon people at this time is highly embarrassing.
No, but remember, my brother, remember that this is the proposal made by the current unity government. Well, whether they were coerced into doing it or not, I don't know. But this is the current proposal as is coming from a source within the new unity government. I want you to note that because it is quite interesting to note this. My question is, whether they were coerced on, I don't know what the terms are because none of that has been discussed with our people. But this was published today. And it makes a very, very serious discussion. A very serious discussion. Yes? Proceed, brother. Proceed, brother.
Whether this was proposed by Natalia and the rest of the government, Mitch and all of them, they are not ready for the big boy league if this is how they're going to go down on their bended knees to ask the oppressors to forgive them. What things need to be done, and we need to do this immediately, the country and the people who love that territory have to put out the people them who put us in this predicament. We know these people. They're your uncle, your cousin, your mother, because the island's small. So we know that a lot of the things that was taking place as far as conflict of interest, it's a small little place. Everybody know everybody. But here we are. Here we are making the UK seem as if they are doing us a favor. I want to ask everybody on the panel tonight, when in history have the British displayed good governance? If any history book out there have that in it, please, I'm asking you to come forth. And the governor who is playing this upstanding person is actually knowing that he's robbing our children's legacy. He's doing that. And he's doing it and taking the praise for it, because when I read inside the paper, trust me, Andrew Foy is not the best of my friend. And as you said a while ago, if I have axe to grind, I don't have axe to grind with individuals. I have axe to grind when the governance of our people is either shortfall to just look out for people who have certain last name, or shortfall for people who have a birth paper, or shortfall because you don't like somebody. Governance have to come across the board equally. This, what is happening in 2022 to this beautiful place, is not a coincidence. This was orchestrated. If you notice, the governor, at first, he was, we can't tell you what the Commission of Inquiry results are. But the minute they hold on to the premier, he was like a boastful chicken running to the front door to cluck like a duck. As to, well, we want to offer good governance. We need to do the background check on these people where the queen sending down there. The queen have stolen goods wearing up on her head a crown. She just celebrate a jubilee that enslave our ancestors. I'm saying we brothers and sisters still want. We have broken the shackles and the chains religiously, politically, educationally, And the British Virgin Islands have $1 trillion economy. That I can call name tonight, but I'm not going to call it because I don't want them say hear it on Kenny Show. Because I gotta know the club members.
With that said, sir, with that said, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, goodness gracious, this is going to be a very hot discussion. Share. If you share this with everybody, we're going to have a very serious discussion tonight in relation to what is happening in the BVI. Not a joke. It has to be discussed. We come right back in a moment. Share this. Back in a minute.
A new season has begun, and while transformation is inevitable for many, your life will remain the same if this is the way you want it to be. However, you can change your life with a better plan from Lifeline Financial Programs. Begin fortnightly cash installments with any amount, then watch your finances multiply into thousands of dollars as you create a brand new future. Life is not a dream. You only get what you put in. We know you cannot do it alone, and this is why Lifeline Financial Programs created the best financial plans to help you transform your life. Guaranteed. Call us now at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
The raw truth.
The raw truth.
The raw truth.
The voice of the American.
Welcome back, and you're live with us right here on The Raw Truth. An amazing presentation this evening. We have with us Brother Gadites Peart, Paul Peart, a good friend of mine, one who is connected to the soil here in the BVI. And of course, we're having a level-headed, practical discussion this evening. This has nothing to do with how I feel or how you feel and no grows and crap. We're not into that kind of stupidness. We're mature people and we're having a mature discussion. And I'm hoping that our listeners from the BVI are prepared to face the facts, prepared to face the truth. Welcome to The Raw Truth. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. Yes. Subscribe, like, and share, that when we send out our notification the next time around, you'll be first to know. Share. This is going to be very interesting. Share with everyone. We have Brother Gadites here, and of course, it is not a joke this evening. We're having a very interesting discussion in relation to an article which was published today. I saw it today on the Virgin Islands News Online, and I absolutely a very interesting document, I thought, and it highlighted the proposal made by the Honorable Dr. Shawande, we call him Shawande, the Honorable Dr. Wheatley, the now Premier, affectionately called Shawande. I hope he's watching, because this is an absolutely interesting presentation this evening. The document, Brother Gadites, says in keeping with direct rule without suspending the Constitution, the coalition government is to submit monthly activity reports by each ministry and their departments to the governor's office for review. So everything they do as of now will have to be reviewed according to the draft proposal, not yet discussed with the public. In other words, the now unity government put this together as what they would want to see happen. Now, were they under coercion when they made that proposal? Was there a document sent to them as to the things they would like to see happening and they have to agree to it? These are some of the interesting questions we need to peruse. Would they put the noose around their own necks in relation to what they do? These are some of the very interesting questions we need to ask. Now, the governor is in charge. Number one, without amending the different legislation for statutory bodies, it is proposed that quarterly updates by all statutory boards be submitted to the Premier and Governor for review. Everything under review now. Yes, good. The Governor will enjoy mandatory consultation with representative ministers on statutory board appointments before approval by Cabinet. So all these things have to be approved before, or they have to be examined before approval. Under the draft proposal number 3, the Governor will be, and I'm reading this very carefully for our listeners who are just joining us. Under the draft proposal, the Governor will be empowered to dissolve statutory boards for violation of governance standards. It is unclear who develops the standards. According to the article, this should be of great concern to residents. Number 4, the unity government proposal also gives the Governor the opportunity to select a proportion or number of statutory board appointments. So everything is under review. No business person shall be allowed in the House of Assembly. It is proposed in the draft document, according to the same senior source from the coalition government, that the HOA amend legislation to require each member of the HOA to declare his or her interest on time. This was a part of the old system. Now, initial failure of the HOA member to declare his or her interest by the deadline would trigger automatic suspension for 2 sittings of the HOA and carry a fine of $5,000. These penalties would continue to roll over until his or her declaration is submitted to the Registrar of Interest. Failure of the HOA member to declare his or her interest to the Registrar of Interest 1 month after the deadline would require him or her to vacate his or her seat, according to the draft proposal being discussed with the Governor. Residents who wish to become HOA members who are businessmen or businesswomen should not run for office. Proposal in the draft is to amend the existing legislation to not permit any elected member to apply for or be approved for a future government contract, including statutory boards after May 2023. This is in line with many other proposals to empower the Governor to run the country, or should you say, to clean up the system. What is your take on that, my brother? Talk with us.
I could have swear that the RDA was already doing all of those proposals. But this is it now. The Governor is getting away with murder, or at least Natalia is giving away the British Virgin Islands, what's left of it. Now we must understand that why the RDA came in was because the UK had the audacity to put in their budget a loan that the British Virgin Islands wanted to secure after the hurricane.
Right.
And our people in the British Virgin Islands don't even realize that when these criminals lend our leaders money, which is our money, we have to pay back them with interest. Now, all of these things that have been discussed as to good governance, it is pure foolishness. Because
so hold on. You don't see these measures as streamlining the system to make sure that rather than a man say I'm gonna give a contract for 50,000, when the contract, in essence, the value of the contract is only 30 and 20,000 is gonna go in the back pocket. You don't see it as creating a situation where politicians, rather who have not declared their assets, are placed into office and continue to hoard public financing and all of that, and then you're going to office with $100 worth of assets, and before the middle of the term you have $1 million worth of assets. You don't think none of that is important? Talk to me.
I said I wasn't going to call out the club members for who they are, but
No, no, no,
first
no.
and
I
foremost,
don't.
hold
I
on,
don't
hold
call
on, hold
nobody
on.
name, nobody name.
I'm not calling anybody name. You don't
Good,
have to worry.
good,
I have the list. But transparency was something that was run down on the last election because the NDP, they were very, shady. Archie and the whole crew, they were very shady when running the government, and the people said they wanted change. Now, if the BVI is in a situation where they say they need good governance, and good governance mean that, like the festival board, that has always been a hustle for people bring in artists and say that it's how much 1,000 MP when everybody knows it wasn't that amount of money. These boards need to reshuffle. We have boards where we know that people is on the board but yet still on 4 out of 5 other board. These are conflict of interest, and these things could be fixed with some transparency. The Freedom of Information Act could have been put in place where the people would hold their elected officials accountable. I don't think no one in the British Virgin Islands right now, the territory, is feeling comfortable to say, yeah, let us conduct all our business from number 10 Downing Street. Nobody wants that. But this is what they're being saying. This is the only solution. Only solution. This is not a solution. Our ancestors fight not to be ruled by 10 Downing Street by any means necessary.
Okay.
So we now are looking at it where they say that the governor has to look over contracts worth more than X amount and so forth. You don't think that these small house cleaning could be done by people with reputable reputation, with good reputation in the country? But
again, sir, and it needs to be said. I think our governments, and I'm not being specific to anyone, I think it has been a problem, an age-old problem among within governments, where they have not been able to manage their affairs properly. And as a result of this matter, as a result of over budget, as a result of overspending, as a result of all of these matters, now it has to come to the point where Premier Wheatley is now saying, to get all of us on a level playing field, these are the things that we need to have done, because they have been listen, it's very sad, but it has to get to this place where somebody take responsibility to manage the money if things are going to happen properly. It's very sad it has to come to this. And while the governor has not announced and I call it the scrapping of the Constitution, perhaps it's a good thing that they are working together to fix these things, and these should have been fixed long ago by these governments. They were unable to do it among themselves. Enough money run what shouldn't run. Everybody know that. So I am saying, if this is the way that it has to be done, and yes, while it's like mama spoon feeding the baby, and yes, while mama turn up the baby ass and slapping it because baby and behaving properly, because it does come across as that, we have set up ourselves for this, brother. You don't think so?
I think what is happening is the Commonwealth is very precious to the British, and I've always said that the British Virgin Islands have $1 trillion economy, and what is happening, the British wants to rule the Commonwealth again, so they're going to try to show some unstable situation and make it look
good point. But now again, I say to you, do you think, sir, and this is a very interesting discussion, we need to have this, do you think if our people were managing their affairs well, aggressively, and holding things together, that Britain understand that there are no nonsense set of people? You think Britain would have done what they did?
No. Let me tell you this. The governor, just like how the politicians are to be charged, the governor is supposed to be charged because he sit back. He was sent there to do a job. And he sit back like a lazy bum that they are. and let the politician run amok and then get up and have the audacity to say, see it there? I tell you they were criminal. You put the cheese in front of the rat. What you expect the rat to do?
That's a point. That's a point.
The governor, all this is happening right now, and the governor not even bust a sweat, because guess what? He's working on behalf of Her Majesty, and our politicians have swear to serve the Queen and the heir to her throne, so our people are getting screwed both ways. The governor is a culprit. If the commission of inquiry is going to come and say that the cheese is missing, then why the puss who sit down to watch the rat, they make the rat eat all the cheese? The governor is at fault. But nobody wants to say it because they're scared like cat, because they're afraid of the Caucasian. But tell them to beat up our maroon people. Them quick to say you ain't fan, hey, you ain't your last name. But not one of them would get up and go to the governor in a serious manner and let the governor know, listen me, this injustice is not going to carry on to my next generation of children. We have children down there who are going to have to read in storybooks now about the atrocities of these people, because our leaders was playing the fool. Yeah, daddy, everything good, man. This governor like me. He was at the cocktail party last night, rubbing shoulder. You love inclusion. This is the price of inclusion. The only way we can stand on our own is when we learn to be very independent and take care of ourselves. I don't want to preach to the massive, but the governor right now, the governor is laughing, or I don't know. How can the oppressor be so appealing at this time? The person who have their foot on your neck is playing the savior, and you're like, save me, save me. This is real life, people. Real life. I remember when we orchestrated the march against the governor, because in 1949, the governor had to run away to Antigua when our people rise up and said, no more of this crap. He had to run. Myself and others said we go and march to clean the BVI house. And people tell us that, listen me, we will fix that sore foot after we done. And the sore foot has come and rotten off and taken away all the legacy of our people. There's nothing to be proud of in the BVI right now. No matter how the youth them go track and field and bring how much trophy come home, we still have a heavy feeling. When I live over here and I talk about the British Virgin Islands, dirty money is the next thing come out of the people them out who do travel go over there, because them feel like every one of our people is corrupted. So I'm taking this time to call upon all these people who put the territory in this predicament. Do yourself a favor, man. Go and stand somewhere and make the people them say you really want repentance. Come off a Facebook with this pretty picture about happy birthday. Come off a Facebook about we enjoying boat ride, because listen me, 10 years from now, your children are going to feel the consequence of what's happening. A lot of people are pushing their head even further in the sand now, instead of facing the reality that they have made a huge blunder. They're saying, Lord, everybody make mistake. This is not a mistake. This is a beef steak in 2022. 2022, I have to be telling my son that some politician choose a club over the territory. That no make sense, man. That no make sense. And that is not a joking matter. Our children deserve better.
We have with us a brother Gadites, and when the day is over, he's quite passionate about what is happening in the BVI. And when the day is done, you cannot help but agreeing with him that what he is saying is true. I'm watching the comments here, and yes, very interestingly, I see my friends in the comments agreeing with this. And it's very sad that we have come to this. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the Raw Truth. Welcome to PSI TV. Please subscribe to our channel, our YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like, subscribe, and share so you can be updated the next time around. We're looking at the document here as presented by the by the new unity government. And it's quite interesting as we peruse this. I use the word peruse. It's very interesting, the proposal which was made. And it's very sad that Premier Wheatley did not approach the people before he submitted his proposal. I'm not sure what the timeline was. I'm not sure what the constraints were. But never should a government working on behalf of a people act on the people's behalf without permission from the people. Never, I repeat, should a government act on behalf of a people without getting direct input from the people as to what their realities are. Never. Because you are going to misrepresent if you miss that. Absolute misrepresentation. And this has been happening in our government in the BVI for absolutely too long. I've been here for 16 years. 16 long years. It has never gotten better. Misrepresentation at all levels. And now we're trying to fix what we should have fixed 10, 20 years ago. No. So if it is that the governor needs to take a very strong position to regularize some of these issues, and we could name them, the issues are many. And local people know the truth. Local people know the truth. They all know. Some of us are too biased to even think straight. But yes, we all know the truth. And I don't care what your thoughts are on it. We have to face the truth. The time has come to face it. And we're not trying to beat anybody into submission. All we're saying is, wake up to the facts and let's do it right this time. Because if we miss it this time, my grandmother always said, dog, name your supper. That is what my grandmother always said. As we close the document, all port security will belong to the governor or will be managed by the governor. Another another proposal is to transfer responsibility for security of all ports, airports and seaports, all ports, to the governor. The thought on the ground is this: governors are currently in charge of the police force and the prison, both having their fair share of issues. The question is, how is the current unity government willing to surrender all security ports to the governor in light of the governor, as Brother Gadites mentioned very, very aptly a while ago, having such issues? Brother Gadite said it very, very clearly. The governor and governors sat back, and I agree with the man, totally agree with him. Watch the place go from bad to worse, breaking down into shambles. Sit back, watch it, and now what? That's the question. Because if a governor is supposed to manage or work with government to manage these affairs, then the premier could be kicking and riding like a spoiled child. The governor has the power to subjugate the premier and put things in place to protect the interest of the people. You don't sit back and watch it go awry, and then you get up like Captain Save-A-Ho, as Brother Gadites always say, to come and fix it. I agree with the man. And if the governor's job is to work with the premier to ensure that decency is maintained, that good administration is maintained, that decency in government is maintained, then how the hell you could wait until it has fallen apart before we rise to correct it? This is a very interesting point that we need to make. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to have Brother Gadite address some other issues as we move forward into this program. We come back in a minute.
A new season has begun, and while transformation is inevitable for many, your life will remain the same if this is the way you want it to be. However, you can change your life with a better plan from Lifeline Financial Programs. Begin fortnightly cash installments with any amount, then watch your finances multiply into thousands of dollars as you create a brand new future. Life is not a dream. You only get what you put in. We know you cannot do it alone. And this is why Lifeline Financial Programs created the best financial plans to help you transform your life. Guaranteed. Call us now at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
The raw truth.
The raw truth.
The raw truth.
The voice of the American.
Welcome back, and goodness gracious, time does fly when you're having fun. I can't I can't I can't see how we have allowed ourselves to come to this, but goodness gracious, while you have to call a spade, we also must address the issues as they appear in a very practical, frank way. This is not putting down anybody or tearing down anybody or making anybody feel bad. No, we're not, Kenny, not into that. Kenny is about practical, rational discussion as we address these issues in a way that is going to make sense, not only to BVI landers, not only to immigrants, not only to the governor, not only for the people who fall out and fail, but to all of us. That bias needs to close. We're not here to put down anybody or to make anybody feel bad. We are here to address the issues in a practical, rational way. Brother Gadites, we have him here right now with us, and of course, this is not a joke. I think he has done well tonight in assessing the situation, and I think we need to take a very practical position as we move forward to assess and reassess these positions in a way that makes sense. Whether you're BVI lander, whether you're government, whether you are governor or any associate thereof, the time has come for us to take a very practical position and look at what we're doing in a way that is going to make sense. I think moving forward, it is not the man with the power, the big muscle, who is going to call the shots and abuse everybody else because you have the power to do it. Whether you're local or foreign, it doesn't matter who the hell you are. We have to respect people and work with people if we're going to get things done in a practical, rational manner. The authoritarian position as have been seen, you see, and sometimes we have to be careful. Because BVI landers have done so with immigrants. Now it's coming back to them. You see, I have to watch my mouth when I talk, because sometimes it's what you sow, you reap. You have to be so careful. Yes? Treat people well with respect, and it will come back to you. If you abuse people, somebody go and abuse you. Brother Gadites, as we close, because sometimes some of the things you say may not even sound good to some people, but when the day is done, we have to address things in a way that makes sense. As we wrap up, brother, I want you to put the lid on this, and I want you to talk about the Maroon Festival that you have going. As you wrap up, because that also is another matter that I think you need to touch. A historic Maroon Festival, you've been talking about that as well. But wrap up this matter of the document, please. This document as presented by Premier Natalia Wheatley. Do you think it was crafted well? Do you think it represents the essence of the people at this point? Or do you think there should have been consultation before this document was submitted rather than coming to the people with it afterwards? What are your thoughts?
Well, Natalia did say that he was going to consult with our brothers and sisters prior to putting out anything. So I don't know how Julian Willock got his hands on this paper. I don't really trust Virgin Islands News Online. It's not one of my best media outlets. But I think the people are very disgruntled. They're feeling like as if they've been duped and they've been taken for granted. I don't think this is going to end well. I think the British are very much ready with the ships that is around the corner to come in and do a 2017 redo where they take away the whole rights of our people. And these offices, you see how strategic it is? The governor has been in control of the Royal Virgin Islands Police. We have two of the biggest drug busts in the Western Hemisphere under his watch, and nothing come out of it. Now they're going to give him the entire port. I just feel it for our people because they do not deserve this. They do not deserve this. They deserve better. But the governance that has been shown to the rest of the world that they are doing, it has come back to haunt them. And I think we have to be careful for the next journey, because if they can use these buffoon tactics on the British Virgin Islands, I can just imagine what they're doing to other places that are not financially well off, and our people need to talk. We need to put aside our differences and see the true challenge that we're facing, which is governance of our next generation, our children's future, that is in our hand, not in the hands of the British. And I want to just say that we need to be focused on how to solve this ourselves. We don't need someone from the UK to come and tell us how to treat people good, because the UK don't treat people good. Right now, there was a no confidence vote in the Prime Minister. He barely hung on by a limb because he said that all immigrants will be shipped over to Rwanda. So the British has never had a good track record of governance. All the British want is the prosperity and the location of the island. And I think that is why the governor wants to take over all the ports, because this is what I dread. I dread the day when I'm coming back to the British Virgin Islands and it's a Caucasian who is going to be there as a custom officer or an immigration officer. Because even though me and my brothers and sisters have our differences, I still can ask them what go on and them understand the good ones. But now we're seeing where in our very island of the British Virgin Islands, our people are not first, second, or third class citizen. They will be fourth class because the Chinese are there already, the Arabs are there already, the Caucasians are there already. And when it boils down to the bump of it, these are the class of people, as much as you want to say that you from here in the BVI, the Arabs them don't partake in nothing that we do, except a little small trinket where the shoe store might give a festival $100, which is a drop in the bucket. The Chinese them, they don't support nothing unless it's through government where them can rip off our people. And the Caucasian, the governor and his elite friends them, they kill people on the water and then fly out of the country scot-free without no charges. So we are in a serious predicament, and the UK can't save us, will never save us, and them to come here to save nobody. So anybody in the BVI will feel like the governor love us, you need to go check your history book. Check your history book and see that these people don't even pay for the cane cutting plus cotton picniers. So what kind of good governance these buffoon can bring to us? They're jealous because there's a $1 trillion economy. But what has happened is our politician has played their own very people for fool. When you listen to the Commission of Inquiry talking about some of the things that the politicians own, and we know that they own it, but they would bold-faced lie to us and say, me, I don't own that. But they couldn't do it to the Commission of Inquiry. And here is where now the territory is being put up in this shamble because of a handful of people who don't love the territory, only love the big house and the big car and the Walt Disney holiday that they get to go away on.
Ay, 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 ay. What can I say? Goodness gracious. Brother Gadites expresses himself very well, very aptly. And his thoughts are his thoughts. And when the day is over, he knows what he knows. I can't speak for him. He has to speak for himself. He has a Coming on, and it's a historic festival, the Maroon Festival, of course. I guess we're all Maroons in our own right. It's coming out of Jamaica, and when the day is done, it's a very interesting position as he tries to launch. Well, of course, he has it's in progress as he launches the first Maroon Festival uh, uh, ever held for that people. Quite an interesting development as well around the Maroons in Jamaica. Quite some diversions, perhaps, but when the day is done, he has held true, very true to his Maroon heritage, and is working very feverishly to execute this festival. Tell us a little bit more about it, Brother Gadet.
All right. Now, our people is going through these predicament because we don't have an identity. We do not have an identity. I say this loud and clear that I am not black. This is a black color. I'm not black. So first and foremost, let me make that clear. I am an indigenous Maroon celebrating 284 years. 284 years of national pride, cultural identity, and we have a treaty to back it up. The Nyankopon government, Maroon government, that we are a part of now, is a legacy that we weren't told to honor. So when I see that the situation that's happening all over planet Earth, I think that we need to have new leadership. And this leadership is not coming in the form of jacket and tie and all of these things. And I have no problem with my professional people. It's just that you're too educated for the system, and you'll have to re-educate yourself if you're understanding anything I'm saying at this appropriate time. Before Jamaica in 1962, we were there in 1738. The British that is oppressing the British, the island that is called the British Virgin Islands now, we beat them and they surrendered to our people. They surrendered to the Maroon. And we have offices all over planet Earth right now. The UK, United States, we have people in the British Virgin Islands that have their sovereign ID. And I want to stress that your sovereign ID, you need to get it because you were kidnapped at birth by the corporation. The corporation is the country's appellation that they use. The British Virgin Islands is a corporation of the British. Jamaica is also a corporation of the British. St. Vincent, all of these corporations, these places are operating as corporation for an entity. And that is why even the British can be so bold to tell you they want to suspend something that they give to you because they gave you that constitution. Our forefathers did not write this constitution. Nobody who had our interests at heart write that constitution that the British gave to our people. So that's a fraudulent document. Now back to the Maroon Festival now. We're doing this globally from June 3rd until July 29th, where we're sharing our cultural heritage with our people, our food, our music. We're reclaiming every single thing that belongs to us and register it under the Nyankopon government. It may be slow, people, but it's in progress. Yesterday, I had the opportunity of hosting the son of the Right Excellency, Marcus Messiah Garvey, to change this perception of the word black as a description of our people. We got that done yesterday, where the recognition of us as a nation has to start. No matter where the Arabs go, there's an Arab nation. No matter where the Asian go, there's an Asian nation. No matter where the Caucasian go, there's a Caucasian nation. But because we've been calling ourselves black, and black has no status, no rights, nothing at all to do with black, we are in limbo. So we are giving back our people identity that can empower them. Under the UN rights, we as indigenous people and all of us are earthlings who live on planet Earth have right over a bunch of organized people calling themselves government. This is a bunch of club members who are affiliated with Lions and Rotary and all these clubs. These are the culprits who are shaping our future. Why Carl Schwab's over there can get up and say he's happy that 50% of the people was murdered and he's not going to jail. So we as indigenous people now, finding our foothold, being our own government, we know that we're going to get a lot of uphill, but it's growing and we're planting the seed. So the Maroon Festival is geared from June 3rd until July 29th, and it's coincide with June 19th here in the United States, where we are talking with people and letting them know that this national pride of being a Maroon is something to be celebrated. It is something to be celebrated because a victory over the oppressors is a victory for all of us. And for my brothers and sisters in the British Virgin Islands, please remember, is it Arthur Hodge? Please remember that Long Look is one of those places that was there before the British them even dream about us. Our people was surviving long before these people come around. They are not our gods. They're not our savior. Our ancestors have laid the way. Let's get back to our roots, claim your indigenous rights, and that is where we're at right now. And as Marcus Garvey's son said yesterday, he himself was not even seeing that the 284 years was of such significance, because if we don't celebrate our heritage and culture, we're going to keep celebrating their history. You hear what it's called, people? History. And that is why they forced the Queen birthday celebration. Right now you have a holiday today. What was that holiday about? It was a European holiday. It has nothing to do with our people. But yet still, they try to trick us with spoils and benefits. And then we happy to be included. But at the same time, they're killing our people and then telling us, be joyful, man. Be happy about us beating you. Be happy about us mistreating you. How can you take away our people's heritage and culture and rights and then have the audacity sending the Queen buttons down there as if you feel like we're some buffoon? We're not foolish. Our children are important to us just like your children. And we will die. We will fight for our children's right to live in this time. It is not like days gone by when you could drive fear into our people. We are not fearful of nothing that you can do to us that has not been done already. So, the Maroon Festival is about showcasing 284 years beating the oppressors and having our sovereignty intact. We're taking that legacy. Thank you.
Yes, my brother, you did well to represent the festival, and I'm sure Brother Gadites has been very functional at the forefront within his capacity as a chief of the Maroon fraternity, if I should put it that way, and of course, very instrumental in the execution of this festival. We wish you all the best, and when the day is done, whatever we can do here to keep the word alive across our community here on PSI TV, we'll be very happy to share, because when the day is done, we're all one people, one nation. And I need to say this as well, that many people have been tricked by people who call themselves chiefs. And I must address this before I close. There's a hell of a lot of criminals calling themselves chiefs. And what has been happening is that our people have been tricked into spending tens of thousands of dollars for fake documents. I'm going to rub this in, because when the day is done, most of these people who call themselves chiefs, they can't even save themselves, much less find a place to put their people. I'm having a problem with it. And when the day is done, unless there's an established situation where indigenous peoples can find refuge when they need it, and have food when they need it, and find fresh water when they need it, there's land for them to go to when they need it, it's fake. And if Brother Godites, as a brother of mine, has been pushing the Maroon agenda for years, when the day is done, if you wish to identify with the Maroons, that's totally on you. But your indigenous rights, as he mentioned, will be all inclusive in the one fact that you have a body or a group of people who are looking out for your best interest. Never you get that out your mind. And if you can't find them, run. I respect Brother Godites. I respect him a lot. When the day is done, he's my brother, and when the day is done, we have worked together over many years. I see what he's doing, and yes, if you wish to be identified with our Maroon brothers and sisters, they have their identification cards that are being published. You want to support the Maroons, fine, feel free to do so. But if you're talking about you indigenous people who has a place for you to grow and develop and become, yes, a place where you can find food when you need it and water when you need it. Check that out before you call yourself indigenous and connecting to a group. If you're going to be on your own, it is not worth it. I'm saying this categorically tonight because a lot of chiefs have fooled our people into thinking that if you become a member of my clan, call yourself a nation, become a member, and I charge you tens of thousands of dollars for documents. You get the documents, it's not even worth squat. And a lot of people are wondering, why did I spend this money for these documents and they are of no use to me? I'm just helping you to be wiser in relation to this thing, because many people are using it to make a lot of money from people, and it is wrong. Our Maroon brothers and sisters in Jamaica, I know them. They are an established body. And yes, providing that the monies that are being paid for these identification cards are going towards the sustenance of that group. It's an indigenous group, one of the oldest in the Caribbean region. Yes, you need to check this out to make sure that that your money is going to the right source. And when the day is over, then you make your decision if you wish to support them. I am not speaking anti in relation to my Maroon brothers and sisters, because I know they exist. I know they're on their lands in a compound town along the coastline. Yes, it's about 4 separate Maroon villages in Jamaica, and they're still very functional. However, there has been some diversions, and I'm sure they're working on fixing these diversions. Yes, when the day is done, you need to check these things out as well. Make sure that you get the facts for yourself. And I'm not going to be biased when I'm speaking. When the day is done, I have your best interest at heart, and my duty is to provide you the right information. Welcome to the Raw Truth. If you just joined us, please go to our YouTube page, and please go to our page, and subscribe. Please subscribe and share when the day is done. I see somebody posting crap on the page. Tell them we don't accept this kind of garbage here. I wonder if our friends realize where you are. Right here on the Raw Truth, we don't play games. This is not the place for foolishness. We are serious, very serious other people, and we don't play. All them crap I saw there a while ago. Just warn them that we don't have time for this kind of crap with nobody. All the best to you. Peace, guidance. Take care of yourselves. And of course, until next week, Monday evening again, we take you back on another journey of the Raw Truth. All the best to you. And whatever you can do to help someone, please help. Whatever you can do to lift someone, please help them. Whatever you can do to help to change a life of another brother or sister, please do so. We need each other. Yes, these are tough times. If you have an extra dollar and your sister needs some help or your brother needs some help, share, help your brothers and sisters. that they'll become better people. Don't keep everything to yourself. The time is going to come when we are all going to need each other. Don't spoil it now by being selfish. Help your brothers and sisters, because your time will come. Remember, the word says, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, the same shall he also reap. Peace. We catch up next Monday evening. All the best to you.
Love of money is the root of all evil. Oh yeah. And enough I sell them birthright and I sell out the people now. Some of them are kill and maim and some are rob all the people. Oh yeah. But Jah not sleep and he man go take them out. Hey, it's still